Let's return our attention to the ongoing conflict in Sudan now. And the head of the Sudanese army has said that the UK, the US, France and China are pulling people out. That is as the fighting there intensifies. For humanitarian workers, of course, living in the country's capital, the situation has become increasingly dangerous. Well, joining me now is Thomas Okedi. He's a humanitarian worker for the Norwegian Refugee Council based in Sudan. Thomas, good of you to take the time to talk to us. What is happening in Khartoum as we speak?
Thank you very much. I am not based in Khartoum. However, I am based in El Fasher, which is a city in northern Sudan. So I can authoritatively talk about El Fasher, but not necessarily about Khartoum because I'm not based there.
No, fair enough. So what is happening where you are?
So El Fasher, this is day number 8 of the conflict. The world knows that the conflict in Sudan started on Saturday last week. And for El Fasher, the first 5 days of the conflict were intense, meaning there was a lot of gunfire, there was heavy artillery in neighborhoods, and some people were injured, and they also reported murders and killings of people. So the first 5 days of the conflict were extremely intense. The last 24 to 48 hours have been relatively calm as people celebrate the end of the holy month of Ramadan. However, the challenge in El Fasher now is that people are lacking basic services. There is no electricity in the city, and right now it is 41 degrees centigrade in this summer. There is no water in households. Food is fast running out in the city because all the supply lines for the food, which are basically districts or localities outside of the city, every other supplier is scared of trying to come into the city and make the dangerous journey into the city to supply food. We had one of our markets here called Abu Shok Market catch fire during the week, and reports indicate that some hoodlums who wanted to take advantage of what was happening in terms of the conflict basically set the fire on the market so that they could be able to loot. But those are all unconfirmed accounts of the cause of the fire. The prices of basic commodities have more than tripled, and yet there is a lot of scarcity for these very basic commodities.
And as a humanitarian worker, what efforts are being made to get some of those basic supplies in?
The challenge is that humanitarian workers do not have any guarantee of safety to access populations in need, both in the city, but also in the IDP camps out of the city. So for humanitarian workers for the last 1 week, it's also been about safety and survival. Most of us are hibernating in our homes. I manage a team of 55 staff, many of which have not been able to even move out of their own house because of fear of, being caught up in crossfire or fear of looting or banditry that's currently becoming very common. So humanitarians have no access, and the safety of humanitarians is currently not guaranteed within the context where we work in. So nothing is happening in terms of humanitarian work.
And of course, it's Eid, isn't it? It's a time that would normally be one of joy and celebration. It must seem very incongruous.
It's a very somber mood, I must say, because yesterday I sent out a message to my staff and told them, please enjoy the Eid holiday. But I also knew it was going to be a very challenging holiday for them because instead of being one of cheers, instead of being one of joy, it was a holiday to, try to keep safe, a holiday basically to try to survive. So, and it's even worse for the internally displaced persons of North Darfur. Before the conflict, there were already 871,000 people who were internally displaced. We don't know how many more people have been internally displaced because of this conflict. And because no humanitarian organization is delivering services in terms of water, in terms of food assistance, in terms of medical care, internally displaced persons in North Darfur are extremely suffering, and it is time for the world to act so that we can be able to access these suffering populations in the IDP camps of North Darfur.
All right, Thomas, good to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and good luck getting some of those provisions to the people who need it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to amplify the voice of the internally displaced persons in North Darfur.